I'm W. Earl Brown. I'm an actor from Deadwood and Preacher and Something About Mary and Scream, bunch of stuff. But today, I'm going to be reading an excerpt from my friend Wiley's first novel. This is My Land More Kind Than Home. I'd been sheriff of Madison County since 1961, 25 years ago next month. My granddaddy was a sheriff too. He worked out of Hendersonville, North Carolina. It's about a half hour east of Asheville, maybe an hour and a half west of Charlotte. Daddy was an apple farmer in Flat Rock. That's Henderson County too. I reckon I grew up thinking I had to be like one of them. I suppose I chose right. Serve and protect, I thought. That kind of thinking's what brought me into these mountains. When I was sworn in as sheriff, I replaced Jack Mosley, who was just 57 years old. He's not an old man by any means. But maybe that's just my own way of thinking after turning 60 myself. Before I took this job, I asked Jack why he was leaving it. He told me he'd just gotten bored. He said didn't much ever happen up here in Madison County. Nothing exciting anyway. He said he found the brook trout and his grandkids to be more interesting. He said I'd see. Said I'd get bored too. Like he almost looked forward to hearing me tell him about it. But he died of a heart attack not long after I took the job, and I never had the chance to tell him just what I thought about this part of the country, these people. But one thing I can say about these people up here is that they're different from folks in Buncombe or Henderson County or any other place in these mountains. Most people up here claim they've got Irish or Scottish or some kind of blood in them. I think that's probably true. Especially if you listen to the folks who'll drive up here from the universities to tell you all about the culture they say is disappearing. Then they'll go and knock on cabin doors looking to get jacktails on their tape recorders, snoop through barns, flag elderly men down from tractors to ask them to sing a couple of the old-time reels. I've always heard that it's a different world up here. Sometimes I wonder if it might just be. When I first came over from Henderson, I'd drive through this county and see signs and markers for towns like Mars Hill, places like Jupiter, all kinds of things like that. And I'd think, Jesus, Clem, how'd you end up here? Well, I'd be damned if it's not beautiful up here. And these green fields where farms line the ridges and the spaces in between hide dark hollers and deep coves where the sunlight might not reach. And like I said, I've spent almost 20 years working this county. But I can guarantee you there's places I've never seen. Places that would seem just as strange to me now as they would have when I first stepped foot into Madison County. I've gotten right used to feeling that way. Sometimes after you've lived in a place long enough, it becomes harder and harder to pick out the things about it that once seemed strange. Even if most people still consider you an outsider after 2.5 decades, just because you weren't born here and raised up knowing everybody's business. But if I could talk to old Jack Mosley, I'd probably tell him I haven't been bored, even after all these years. Of course, there have been particulars about calls and cases I can't quite remember, even when I try to, but that's due more to my years on the job than any kind of boredom. Now, on the other hand, I've had those calls, those couple of cases that I won't ever be able to forget, no matter how hard I try or how old I get to be. This here's one of those.